Oh, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. We're back live. I was streaming myself personally, and I have to remember to take the comments off because those would have shown up on chat, and that would have not been keen. So we're back live at the USA. Again, apologies for the interruption there. And we're through the first part of qualifying, and I think the majority of the laps are done. Ablaze and Aroka is, I think, going for another lap, and that was a little scary from Aroka. The rear end really snapped out there, and that could have caused some issues for him, but he stays on track okay, and I think he may have just come out a little later than the rest, because it looks like he is very much on a flying lap at the moment. Ablaze, I think, is going to be coming back in the pit lane after invalidating his first lap, and he'll be without a time for the moment. Kryptonite and Legend still in the pit lane. Devin is finally on his out lap, and in fact will be starting his lap soon. So again, my name is Noah Clark. Thank you for joining us. You're watching live coverage of Formula 3 on the PlayStation divisions. This is round number 13 at the Circuit of the Americas for the United States Grand Prix. Oh my goodness. Devin had to get out of the way a little bit there, as I believe that was one of the Alfa Romeos. I think it was Tom Raba who had to get out of the way. It was a little uncomfortable of a position though. And very nice coming through the S section here is Devin, as the Ferrari and a Red Bull are getting out of his way. And Devin has already set the fastest first sector of the session so far. So Devin already looking locked and loaded for this qualifying session. Aroka went 12th fastest on that last lap. Legend and Kryptonite are out now on their out laps, both on the soft tire. Coming down the DRS straight is Devin. Let's see how he fares through the second sector. Braking at the end of the DRS straight. Not cutting as much of the curve as we've seen a couple of other drivers do, but nonetheless, it's a valid lap. Ooh, a little bit of a issue getting the brakes down there, and he missed the apex quite significantly. And out of the third sector, it is not a fastest second sector. And now coming into the third sector, apologies. Let's see how Devin fares through the rest of the lap. Of course, this is pretty much all flat coming up to the penultimate turn. A little bit of a dab on the brakes coming onto the exit towards the curbs. Very nice and steady. Coming into the final turn, just clips the apex there across the line. Looking like a decent lap, but it is going to be only P6 for Devin. And I think that second sector was a little sloppy from the AlphaTauri driver, and he's going to want to correct some mistakes there he made during the lap as he goes around another time. Legend now has started his lap. Let's ride on board with the Red Bull driver and see how he fares. Sporting a red, white, and blue helmet. I'm not sure if that's for the USA or not, but nonetheless, I salute it. And oh, that was our first look at an infraction there through the S section, as Legend did not keep it within the track limits. And as you can see there, the track has gone red, and that's an invalidation. Here comes Kryptonite now, as Kryptonite, very different approach, as he does not take it nearly to the right as many other drivers have, and he missed the apex quite significantly coming in the turn one. So Kryptonite, so far, not a great lap to start us off here in the USA for him, but the S section looks pretty tight. He did have to bog down a little bit, losing the car from the rear end. Now coming through the second sector, car looks all over the place at the moment. The rear end does not look very stable from the Alpine. Coming into the almost 90-degree right-hand turn onto the DRS straight. Barreling down. If we bring on the telemetry, hitting almost 196 miles an hour before coming down to the end of the DRS straight. Let's see how he handles the second sector. It looks like he handled the second sector very well, actually fastest on track, because Tom Rabo has gone fastest on track at the moment. A Blaze is coming down the DRS straight as well. IFR Legend looks to be going for another lap as he did invalidate quite early on in that first attempt. Here comes Kryptonite though. Oh, he's got a lot of drivers in front of him and hopefully he doesn't have any issues. Looks like he's going to be okay. That was just Mattel there. He shouldn't have any dirty air problems. Across the line, Kryptonite's going to go 12th fastest on track. Here comes Blaze. This is Blaze's second attempt at a lap. The first attempt did not go so well as Bolin has again gone back into pole position territory with a 130.7, just 0.05 of a second quicker. Noah Blaze is going to go right back in the pit lane. Not happy with that lap, surprisingly enough. So Legend will be going again for another lap. This was not a particularly fast first sector from him. Dutch Missile has been having a decent session so far. A driver who is not known for his extremely fast qualifying results, currently sitting in 4th on the grid and is on a outlap now and might be looking to make up some ground here. Joey RC is on a lap at the moment, I believe, but it has not been a very impressive first sector. It looks like they're down by 0.5 of a second through the first sector. He misses the apex at the end of the DRS straight, so that wasn't particularly sound of him, and I think this is not a lap he is going to be super impressed of. He's about slower by about 2 seconds. So he may just be going for it on another occasion. I think somebody just went ahead. That was Izu, I believe, who has just gone up to 5th on the grid. Dutch Missile is now going for a lap, but it's already invalidated, and he actually was faster by about 1/10 of a second coming through the first sector of the lap. So he's going to have to go for it again on a different occasion. We have just about 5 minutes and 45 seconds left to go in the session, and the times are starting to dwindle down here as Roland goes into the pit lane. Isaac Kush looks to be going slow here. He has gone 3rd fastest on track. I've missed all of the quick times here, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize. Let's see if we can catch another driver here. I believe that Rattel is on a in-lap. Joey RC will also be on an in-lap, I believe. Unless he's going for it again. We'll see what the Sector 2 split will be from him. Yes, Rattel on an in-lap for sure. Joey RC, I think, is going for it, though, because his first sector and his second sector has actually gone faster. He's actually fastest in the second sector. So Joey RC is going for it again. He is on a used set of soft tires, though, so I'm not sure if this is the best strategy call for him, and he may, in fact, go into the pit lane at the end of this lap if he doesn't want to start on this tire, because he doesn't have a lot of time to set another lap in this session. It's not a super quick lap around here in the USA. Oh, just an invalidation at the end there. And I'm not sure if he was intending to go into the pit lane, but that was the key right there. And those tires are not going to be very useful in the race should he decide to put those back on. Here comes Devin again, going for another attempt at a lap. He's only sitting 10th on the grid at the moment, but we know Devin, he's a very good late qualifying runner, and he can do some very impressive lap times towards the end of a session. And we'll see with a track that is evolved to its peak if he can set a really nice lap time and put himself a little further up the grid. He's coming towards the end of the DRS straight, braking there around the 100-meter board. Coming into the apex, does not clip a lot of the apex as some of the other drivers, but he has gone fastest in the second sector by about 0.2 of a second. So, looking like a decent lap time. If he can improve by about that, he would easily get into the top 5 at least, if not further. Let's see what this Sector 3 split is going to be for him. If there was any issues for him and he could improve in some capacity, maybe the penultimate turn. I expect that's really the only position he can really improve upon. It was really nice and smooth, though he did miss the apex a little bit. Missed the apex out of the final turn. Let's see what the time's going to be, though. It is going to be 4th fastest for Devin. A very nice lap. 131.1 is the time, and the two AlphaTauris are sitting on the second row of the grid at the moment. Bolin and Tom Rabo are come out again, and we will pay attention to these drivers because they both are 1st and 2nd at the moment. Tom Rabo a little further up the road than Bowen. Bowen now just coming out of the first sector. And we'll see how the two drivers fare here in the end of qualifying. We have some yellow flags. I think some drivers just letting other drivers by. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the session and counting. And we'll see who captures pole position here today. There's Bowen now. He's just coming towards the end of the DRS straight. Tom Rabo is about to start off his lap as he's just about to come through the final sector. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's Alfa Romeo versus Haas, the fight for pole position. Those two have been exchanging times all session long, and now we'll see if we can get a really cracking end of qualifying here. We're going to ride on board of Tom Rabo now. Final lap here in qualifying. Can he put it on pole position? He takes a wide line coming into the entrance, maximum speed as he starts off his lap, coming towards the top of the hill, this very, very blind apex as he brakes and comes into the turn. How does he hit the apex? Hits it absolutely perfectly. Gets it back on track, out of the exit, off of the curbs. Now coming into the S section, keeping it just on the limit with that white line there. Coming through the S section, very crucial to keep it within the track limits. Oh, has a little bit of a slide from the rear end there as he had to keep it within the track limits to keep it valid, but he has gone fastest in the first sector. Tom Rabo putting in an absolute banger right now, trying to keep his name on pole position in this race. Can he dethrone Bowen? Bowen's now coming through the first sector. Let's see how he fares. And it looks like it was a little bit cleaner possibly from Bowen. Is it going to be fastest? Yes, Bowen once again beats Tom Rabo in the first sector. Here comes Tom Rabo coming through the second sector now. He's down the DRS straight. DRS flap is open. Braking. How does he hit the apex here? Hits it beautifully right there. Comes out of the exit. Right back onto the curbs. Darting to the left-hand side of the track. Hits the apex nicely there. And he's gone fastest. No, not fastest in the second sector. Bowen now is coming down the DRS straight. We'll see how he fares coming out of the second sector. As Tom Rabo has, a little snap of the rear end there. And that's not going to help his time whatsoever. And here comes Bowen coming towards the end of the second sector. We'll see what that split's going to be as he's coming through the penultimate turn. And Tom Rabo has invalidated at the last moment. Oh, that is not good. But I don't think Rowan has improved on the second sector yet, so there's still some drivers who could possibly dethrone him at the end here. He is quite a far ways away from the others in those 131 times. We'll see, though, if Bowen keeps this time. Final turn, almost invalidated there. Kept it within track limits, though. Here comes the time. What's it going to be from Bowen? Bowen with a 130.7, and that is the fastest time of the session. Joey RC goes up to third with a really nice lap there with a 139. Betazai now is in fourth position and is pretty much done with qualifying. Isaac Kush is the next driver who could try to challenge. Devin is out of the session. He has decided to retire, and he is done with the rest of qualifying. We'll see, though, if Isaac Kush can improve his time, possibly have a sneak position there. No, an invalidation way too far on the inside of the penultimate turn. And what would that time have been if he had come across the line well? It would have been a 131.155, which would have been slower than his previous. And I believe that is going to be it. The only driver I think at the moment is Dutch Missile, who was taking a very, very cutty line there. And he's actually gone fastest in the second sector. So Dutch Missile has been a second sector merchant throughout this session. We'll see how far he can go up the grid. He's currently sitting 10th, far away from that fourth position he currently had earlier in the session. As here comes Dutch Missile through the third sector. Now this flat right-hand turn coming into the penultimate turn. A little dab with the brakes, and again, he also invalidates his time, just clipping too much of that inside curb, and that is a very dangerous place to cut there, as he would have had a fantastic lap. That would have put him well further up the order, but unfortunately, it's going to be just the 10th spot for him as Aroka comes into the pits. Tom Rabo, of course, had that invalidation, and that is it, ladies and gentlemen. IFR Bowen in the Haas is your man on pole position. A fantastic lap from the Haas driver, and I think he'll be very happy with that one. Did we just have a disconnection there? I didn't quite see what happened. I'm just going to check the chat in PSGL, make sure nothing's going on. I'd hate to have another restart. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting a little bit of a fluid break here. All this yelling makes me very parched, and I think I'm going to be doing quite a fair bit of it more come at the start of this race. But there is your man in the Haas on pole position, IFR Bolin. No smiles, but he's got a smiling pose, but there's no smiles from him. But I'm sure behind the avatar there is a smile as he goes on to the top step in pole position. Tom Bravo in second, Joey RC in third, fourth for Betazai, Legend in fifth, Littell in sixth, Isaac Cush in seventh, with Devin in eighth, Pat in ninth, the Dutch Missile in 10th, Kryptonite in 11th, Aroka in 12th, with Izu in 13th, Blaze in 14th, with Falk in 15th, Menno in 16th, Jesper in 17th, and Lewis rounds off the grid. But a really close battle here. It was all within a second towards pole position, so all the drivers very much locked and loaded for the race. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the United States Grand Prix. My name is Noah Clark. If you're enjoying your stream here at PSGL and you're watching for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss a race or highlight from the channel. And, of course, you're watching live coverage of the Formula 3 World Championship. It is full sunny skies here at the moment in the United States, and I believe it will be staying as so. So let's see how it goes. We are just 25 seconds away and counting from the start of the race. I'll go over the drivers one more time on the formation lap, and then we'll get ready for the rest of the race. That single red light will come on, and we'll get ready for the start of the United States Grand Prix. It's going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Can't wait for you all to see. And that one singular red light comes on, and it is lap 0 of 28, and that means it's the formation lap. And let's go over your grid order. Your starting lineup for the United States Grand Prix. There are your tire choices, by the way. Bolin is in first position with Tom Bravo in second. Joey RC in the Aston Martin has gone up to the third spot with Betazai and Legend, the two Red Bulls, fourth and fifth respectively. Rattel in sixth with Isaac Cush and Devin in seventh and eighth in the AlphaTauris. In ninth is IFR Pan, the Alpine, and the Aston Martin with the Dutch Missile rounds off the top 10. All the top 10 drivers will be starting on the soft compound tire. Kryptonite will be starting on the medium tires in 11th with Aroka in 12th, Izu in 13th, Blaze in 14th, Falk in the Alfa Romeo in 15th, Menno is in 16th, and Jesper in 17th. It is 11th through 17th position using the medium tires. Lewis, who is qualified towards the back of the grid here with his Ferrari teammate, will start on the soft compound tire, looking for a quick start and make up some positions here at the start of this race. We'll see how that works out for him. Of course, that would be a new set of soft tires, as if you do not qualify in the top 10, you get a new set of tires. You can select whatever you want. But IFR Bolin is now coming through the third sector now, and we're just edging closer to the grid start in this Grand Prix. And I'm very, very excited to commentate on it for you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping you're enjoying the stream, and it's going to be a very exciting race as Bolin just warming up his tires a little bit more before his AI overtakes control. There's your predicted pit stop strategy for the soft tire runners. It's soft, soft, medium, or soft, medium, medium. Predicted pit stop strategy is a two-stop strategy presented by Amazon Web Services. And there is Bolin lining up on his pole position slot. It is on the right-hand side of the track, which is the racing line, so Tom Bravo at a bit of a disadvantage as he comes into his grid slot in second. There's Joey in third with Betazai and the rest lining up. And Lewis is there in the back, just lining up towards the back of the grid. And then we can get ourselves started for the race. We're just waiting for the engines to restart. We have one more car coming in. That is a Haas, and that is Izu coming into his 13th spot, a little further behind in the thing there. It's one light, two lights, three lights, four lights, five lights here in the United States. and the lights are out, and away we go. And it's been a fantastic start from Tom Bravo, and he's already alongside the Haas coming into turn one. And then on the inside, Tom Bravo has taken the lead of the United States Grand Prix just about, but no, a bad exit coming out of the turn number one, and back into the lead is the Haas. And there comes Joey Arces alongside the Alfa Romeo of Tom Bravo coming through the S section. Very nice and tidy there as Joey Arceo has to go off track as he took to the exit. That could have been a very nasty accident, but Joey Arceo has taken the position, and now Tom Bravo is under pressure from Rattel, who is under pressure from Betazai as well. A crazy start there, and it looked like Tom Bravo might have had it. Rattel is out of this Grand Prix, a big accident there, and are we going to get a safety car on lap number one of this Grand Prix as a yellow flag waves? And I'm not too sure what happened there. I didn't quite catch the damage, but Rattel is immediately out of this race. But here comes Tom Bravo, and Joey Arce is going to move to the outside lane. Joey Arce is going to try to cover him off, but around the outside is Tom Bravo. They're still side by side, banging wheels, the two drivers. Joey Arce has the outside line, but the inside line is the way to go, and Tom Bravo is taken back to position. Here comes Joey Arce. Can he make a big dive around the outside? He cannot. So he will slot back in third position, and Tom Bravo keeps second, but Bowen already has extended that gap at the top by almost a second here, and that's going to be crucial for him. He wants to get out of that DRS zone, and here comes Dutch Missile and IFR Pat, and he has made the move on the Alpine up into 7th position. Fastest lap is going to go to Bowen. We already have some overtakes going on. We have some McLarens and Ferraris battling here. Shades of the real race here in the United States. Just a couple of weeks ago, Menno looks to be trying to make a move on the inside of the Ferrari. He's going to dive on the inside at the end of the straight, and I believe he's just about to get the move on Jesper. Yes, up in the 15th position. And there is a pit stop from Betazai, and I think we might have had contact between Rattel and Betazai, and that is not going to be too good for Betazai's race either. But of course, Rattel, not the benefactor of that situation. He is down out of this race. Already some crazy scenes here at the start of this United States Grand Prix. But IFR Bowen, his lead has now been diminished a little bit as we're on lap number 2. IFR Tom Bravo is coming right up onto the back of him. He does not have DRS yet, but he's immediately gaining in him in this race. A little bit of a lock up there from Bowen, though. That's not going to help him whatsoever. We have some another battle going on, and on the inside, that was Dutch Missile, and that was a dive bomb if I've ever seen one. And around the outside of the Red Bull, I think he's going to get the move. Yes, he is. And I don't think Legend's going to be appreciating taps like that on his right side of his car. Sorry, his left side of his car, but nonetheless, that was a pretty nasty hit. So let's ride on board of Tom Bravo now, because it is now lap number 3. DRS is enabled. Jesper has gone fastest on track, down in 15th position. Tom Bravo was fastest for all of about a second, maybe not even a second. But let's see how the man Tom Bravo can do, because now he has DRS. He's within about 0.5 of a second and overtake, very much looking like to be a situation that could happen here as Bowen is struggling in the early part of this race to get those soft tires fired up. And they're coming through the second sector now. There's the DRS straight coming up, and now it's about 0.4 of a second. It's getting very, very dicey for Bowen, and I think he's going to have to defend here as they're coming into the DRS braking zone. The gap coming towards the DRS straight. It's going to be about 0.5 of a second. DRS is going to be activated. Bowen already knows it because he's starting to weave on the track a little bit. But here comes Tom Bravo, and he might even he's going to have to probably make it late. But he's not catching up nearly as much as we would think he would have. So very interesting there. I don't think he used up a lot of overtake on that particular occasion, which may have hampered his effects there, but quite surprised that he wasn't able to make a pass there. But a little peek on the inside as Bowen kind of left the door open. Joey Arce sitting there in third position, 0.4 back, just biding his time at the moment. Jesper is closing up on a blaze at the back here in 15th. And we move on to lap number 4 of this Grand Prix. And now we're in a very different position. Bowen ahead by 0.6 of a second. We have another pass. That's Legend on Izu. But Legend has left the session. He's had a disconnect. Oh dear. So Legend was making a pass, and he's had a disconnect now, and he's going to get passed again. Or he almost didn't pass him again, but made it by nonetheless. Good on him. But Legend is going to want to get back into this race rather quickly. He already has a time penalty of 3 seconds on his race, which is not how you want to start things off here. But Tom Rabo, nonetheless, back in the hunt. Coming into the DRS braking zone. How close will he be to the back of Bolin? About 0.5 of a second. So, will he be able to make the pass on this particular occasion? He has the DRS, and he's not using it. You just finally started using it. I don't know if he's listening to the stream or not. Maybe that's why he's not making the pass. Does he not want to make the pass? Interesting decision from Tom Rabo, nonetheless. His DRS flap wasn't even open. And I wonder if this is a strategic move or not. I don't know. I mean, his soft tires are going to get eaten up as long as he's behind that Haas. So as far as I'm concerned, you want to get past Bolin, because at the moment, it seems to me Tom Rabo is being held up by the Haas driver. But nonetheless, we are continuing on with coverage of this race. Oh, yes, thank you. I do want to mention, yep, Matt, thank you for that. Lewis did retire in the pit lane. So he is also out of this race very early on. So Tom Rabo is staying in second position. We already have another pit stop. That's Pat, who has had front wing damage. And that's going to put a damper on his race. Many of the front leading drivers, usually in the F3, are having not so good of a race. But Bolin, Tom Rabo, Joey RC's right in there. Nice to see him back towards up the top of a grid for a change. And here comes Tom Rabo. Will he be able to make the pass on this lap, or does he even want to make the pass? Let's see if he decides to activate DRS again this time. Yes, now the DRS flap opens. It's just not quite getting the slipstream that you'd expect to him. Within half a second there, he looks on the inside, and he just gets back up to the rear diffuser of the car. So clearly he has to be either closer, or he has to start using some overtake on these laps if he wants to make it pass. But at the moment, he's saving his ERS and waiting to fight it another day. A little snap of the front end there from Tom Rabo, but he keeps it all okay. Meanwhile, this is starting to create a little bit of a traffic jam, as Joey RC is keeping up with about 0.7 of a second. Isaac Kush is there in 4th. Devin's right there in 5th. Dutch Miss a little further back, 1.7 seconds in 6th position. Kryptonite is at a bit of a race of his own, at least on the front end of it, because he's got Izu to deal with, but he is 4 seconds back. And Jesper has another 3-second time penalty. So the penalties are adding up early on in this session. And my gaps have completely disappeared, which is great to see. Lap number 6 of this race, and Tom Rabo is really catching up on Bolin. Bolin is just struggling to get those tires fired up, to get him in a comfortable window. Tom Rabo does miss the apex there a little bit coming out of the S section, but he's still very, very close to the back of Bolin. And let's see, coming on this next lap, surely we think he could make a pass on this lap. He cuts in very close to the apex. Really bad exit out of Bolin as he uses the almost the AstroTurf to get back on the power. And he's getting very, very close. I think Tom Rabo might have to go for the move here. He's going to look on the inside. No, he does not go for the move. This is very interesting calls here. I think Tom Rabo had very much the ability to go for a move. And I'm not too sure why he's waiting. I mean, I know you don't want to have a battle, like too much of a battle, but these your soft tires are going to get eaten up. And much to the dismay of a commentator and to the viewers, this race is turning out to be a little bit more stale than we would like to. Tom Rabo's had a couple of opportunities to make an overtake, and he simply hasn't done so. So move on to lap number 7. We're riding on board of the front wing of Tom Rabo as he comes into turn 1. As you can see, he's seen a lot of the back of that Haas through most of the race. And he's so very close now. It's 0.4 of a second. Surely if he has to, he's probably just going to have to make the move because Bolin just is not able to make up a gap on Tom Rabo. So we'll see here if a pass is finally made because, oh, Bolin is just struggling. The rear end is snapping out of there, and it's a very opposite scenes here in this session. And here comes Tom Rabo, and surely this will be the overtake now because there's just absolutely no way that Bolin can defend. He's going to move to the inside lane. It's going to be an easy pass for Tom Rabo. Bolin is going to sit back and watch as Tom Rabo now has his chance in the lead of the race. And can he now extend his gap ahead of Bolin? We already have some passing down the grid order here as look at this. Menno has made it past Izu now, is trying to, Blaze is trying to make it past Falk. And we'll see if he is able to. Now he's trying to go around the outside of Hiroka. And he is going to get the move right there on the inside. A nice move, a little switchback on the Mercedes, and a Blaze is up into 11th position. And now you can see there the pace advantage already coming to show from Tom Rabo. 0.8 of a second clear of the Haas driver. So clearly the pace was there. I'm still a little surprised that Tom Rabo waited that long to make the pass. Dutch Missile is pitted in this race, and he's going to go on to a new set of mediums. So there's your first pit stops from the soft tire runners. And we only have a couple left here in this race, as a couple have already had to make their pit stops. Pat is on a pit stop, of course. Legend with a pit stop. Dutch Missile now has made that pit stop. Will we start to see the other soft tire runners react? The undercut could be a really nice strategy here. Let's see what the decision is. Will Tom Rabo pit first, or will Bolin pit first? Tom Rabo just staying within there, about 0.9 of a second back now. He's still within DRS range, but that gap is slowly going up, and eventually it's going to come to a point where he's just not going to be able to have pace to stay in DRS range. As you can just see the Alfa Romeo slowly crawling away from Bolin. And are we going to see these soft tires pit? Joey RC's in the pits. Isaac Kush is into the pits. Devin does not follow in, but we do have two runners on the soft tires, Joey and Isaac, who have decided to go into the pit lane. So now we might start to see some reactions from the upper drivers, as all of them very much within the battle for the lead. If any mistakes were made, we'll see if this overcut strategy works out for them, or the undercut strategy, works out for them. But surely Tom Rabo and Bolin and Devin are going to have to make pit stops at this point. Those soft tires starting to reach the end of their competitive lifespan, and the pit stops are coming in fast, and I think we will see if they can, if they're going to be making pit stops this lap. I think we will see at least one of them make pit stops. I believe at least we're going to see Tom Rabo make a pit stop. Keep with the lead of the race. Bolin sitting there in second position. He's caught up a little bit to Tom Rabo. We have a pass, and that's Izu has made a pass on the DRS straight on Kryptonite and up in the fourth position on the medium tires. Let's see what these top three do as they're coming through the end of the third sector, and we are all going to see them file into the pit lane. And let's see if this undercut strategy works out or not. And yes, pit stops from Tom Rabo. Bolin follows in. Devin will also follow in as well. But Devin did lose quite a bit of pace towards the end there. And all three have pitted. So now the big question is, did Joey RC and Isaac Kush make a good move here? Joey RC is the furthest ahead, and I think he might possibly be able to do it, as they're now just coming out of the pit lane now. Let's see. Joey RC is heading down the straight, and we're going to see towards the exit here as they're riding on board of this front rear cam, And I think he's going to get ahead at least of the Haas, possibly. Coming in the turn one, he's going to go side by side of Bowen, and Bowen's going to lose the position to Joey RC. And Joey RC has really had a very nice pit stop here. He's gotten ahead of Bowen, and Bowen's lost the position. So Tom Bravo keeps provisional lead, but Joey RC has gone up in the second position. Isaac Kush, unfortunately, hasn't really made up any positions here, as he had the Dutch Missile ahead of him, which hampered his results. But Bowen now has been overtaken by Joey RC, and that was a very nice move on the pit stop strategy there, and Joey RC is going to be very happy with that result there. That's going to put him up into provisional second position through the second part of this race. As now let's ride on board of Joey, because now we have a little bit of an interesting situation. We're going to have some traffic that needs to be cleared rather quickly. Those drivers will be making their pit stops soon, but I do believe they're going to be hitting the traffic first way before those drivers decide to make their pit stops. They're quite a ways away from making pit stops in this race. And the penalties are just coming in. Jesper has another 3-second time penalty. Let's look at the details here. Jesper has 18 seconds already of penalties, and we're not even through we're barely through the third of the race. That's crazy stuff. As we bring back on the tires, Jesper is having not so good of a race, and at this point, he'd be all the way in last. Almost. With all the... Yeah, I think he would be in about last of all the penalties he's accrued. I think the only saving grace is Legend there, who's 11 seconds back from Isaac Kush. But Joey RC... now in the provisional second position. Can he possibly use this traffic to his advantage? Can he find a way where Tom Rebel might become vulnerable, and he may have to find himself in the first position of this race if he can find a nice overtaking spot? Of course, this is going to be difficult because these drivers are all fighting for top 10 positions at the moment. So it's going to be rather difficult to see when Tom Rebel can make a good pass, because these drivers are battling hard, and I don't think they're going to be too nice and let Tom Rebel by so easily. As we're riding up the top here, we see the leader right now is Izu, with Kryptonite in second, Mendo in third, Falcon fourth, Fit for a Blaze, Aroka in sixth, Jesper in seventh position, with Tom Rabo 6/10 behind. But now we're starting to get into a DRS train, because all these drivers are so very close to each other, and this is not the most ideal situation for the leaders of this race. But we do have some pit stops, and I believe, yep, Jesper is into the pits, and Aroka now has taken up that position. But Tom Rabo is not exactly catching up rather quickly to the back of Aroka. Tom Rabo is kind of sitting there about 6/10 back. Joey RC still very much in fighting contention here as he's starting to catch up to the back of Tom Rabo. Tom Rabo has just not quite been able to get close up to the back of these other medium tire runners, despite the fact that he's on much newer tires. But now he is starting to close in a little bit on Aroka, and Aroka is really struggling actually through that first sector, and he might be able to make a pass on this DRS straight finally and get past at least one of these cars. He makes a nice cutback here, and surely now he can make the pass, at least on the Mercedes. He did tap the back end of the car a little bit there, but front wing looks fine, no damage done. Aroka also had DRS, so he was still a little bit in that fight. Joey RC now is going to want to quickly make it past this Mercedes, and he is going to make a big dive on the inside. He knows he has to make it past quickly. Aroka is going to try to defend, and he's going to have the inside line, I believe, and he is going to give him some space, but very easily makes the pass, and Joey RC can keep up the fight with Tom Rabo. Tom Rabo now is starting to make up positions on these older medium tire runners who have yet to make any pit stops, and none of them are currently making pit stops at the moment. Tom Rabo might have another overtake on his hands here. He is close to the back of a Blaze. He's using his overtake, and he is going to make it past the McLaren. Joey RC is going to have to wait a little bit. He's a little bit too far back. But we already saw one big dive move, and I believe Joey is inclined to do so again to get close up to the back of Tom Rabo. It's crucial that he clears these cars very quickly because Tom Bravo is going to clear them quicker. He has to keep up the pace. He's already running into Dirty Air with a Blaze. You can see here it's not been a great run through the S section. And don't forget about Bowen. Bowen is still right there in the mix as well. Bowen has made it past Daroka. Bowen is not out of this race. He can still very much make a pass if he's able to. And look at how close Bowen is to the back of him. I think Joey RC should be able to make the pass on a Blaze with some overtake on his hands here. And Tom Bravo has made it past his Alfa Romeo teammate in Falk, and Joey RC is going to make it past a Blaze, and they're right back into the mix of it now. Joey is going to possibly try to make a dive on the inside of Falk, but he doesn't. He's a little bit too far back. But things are getting nice and tight here. Ooh, he finally made it past, but Falk hit the back of him, and I think he's actually going to lose the position. He keeps it, but there was a little bit of contact there on that pass. So Joey RC quickly trying to make it past Falk, and that could have been a bit of a situation to cause some damage on his car, but it looks like he kept it okay. I don't see any damage on the side pods or the front end, so it looks like he's fine. But on lap number 14 of this Grand Prix, we're through the halfway point, and we're very quickly moving up positions. Since look at this, Tom Bravo's trying to make it past Menno, but Menno's not being an easy driver to get past. As Menno squeezing Tom Bravo, but Tom Bravo finally just hangs it around the outside, then goes to the inside and gets past the Williams. But Menno looking like a driver who, if he can keep up with Tom Bravo, could possibly try to go back for a counter-offensive, but he's already losing time to the back of him, and now Joey RC is next. And we'll see how easily Joey RC can get past the Williams driver here of Menno, as these medium tire runners are just moving down the order here as they haven't made their pit stops yet. And Kryptonite currently in the lead of this race. I do apologize. They have been fighting for the lead of the race, but we've been keeping on board with Tom Bravo and Joey and Bowen. Bowen's still right there in the mix, but he does have Falk behind him, who is still giving him some trouble. Joey RC has not made it past Menno yet. As let's ride on board with Joey one more time now. He's a lot closer to the back of Menno. He's going to be using that overtake. Menno was not early. This will be a pass on the inside of Menno. This is the same place that Tom Bravo tried to make it past Menno. And Joey is going to be up in the 4th position ahead of the Williams. Now he has Izu to contend with, as Tom Bravo has made it past the Alfa Romeo and is now on his way. Sorry, he made it past the Haas. The Alfa Romeo makes it past the Haas, and now he's on his way to the Alpine. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, I have not been commentating up to my greatest strides here today, but nonetheless, we will keep on board with Tom Bravo as he is about to overtake for the lead of the race. You can just see how much more braking power he has coming into the DRS right there. And he does not have a lot of ERS to play with, so you might actually have to stay back for another lap. But Kryptonite, he is quickly catching up to, and he is just going to make that pass easy and done. And we have a pass, and that is Bowen on Menno, up in the 5th, back with Joey RC. So Menno moves down a position. Joey RC has to make it past Izu, and it looked like he was looking for an inside move there, but he was just a little bit too far back and had to stick behind him for the moment. But Joey has not been able to keep up with Tom Bravo in terms of the overtakes here. He now has Izu and Kryptonite to contend with. Again, apologies for the yawn. But let's see if Joey can make a pass on Izu. Is he going to dive on the inside? He's going to go for a huge dive on the inside. Is it going to work, though? He's still side by side of the Haas, but I think Izu's just going to keep it here. And look at this. Joey RC still has it on the inside. They're going side by side through the S section, and he just finally barges his way through the Haas. And Joey RC with a fantastic dive, and that was a fantastic move. And Pat is out of this race, and I think he's retired in the pit lane. Yes, he has. So that is it for Pat. It was not a great race for Pat. Many issues, a very early pit stop of front wing damage, and he is done with this race. So Tom Rabo is in the lead of the race, ahead of Kryptonite. Joey RC now is chasing down the Alpine, and we'll see if he can make it past. Right back onto the rear diffuser of the French outfit. And I think we might see a dive on the inside. No, he goes for the outside move. That's not really going to work. It's probably never going to work. It's always the racing line on the outside. But Joey's looked at it a couple of times, and it just quite hasn't ever worked out for him. Not sure why he hasn't tried for an inside move quite yet, but we'll have to wait and see. But Kryptonite finally makes his pit stop. So does Izu. And now we're back into some more normal territory here, but it's a little different than it used to be. Isaac Kush is down there in 10th position as all these drivers make their pit stops, as he will move up the order. Menno is still out there. But Devin is ahead of Isaac Kush. Bolin is in third. Joey RC is in second now, and Tom Rabo is in first. And Joey had a very nice undercut pit stop strategy, which ended up working out for him, and he is now ahead of Bolin and chasing for the lead of the race. The only crucial thing here is that Joey does not have DRS. He's 1.7 seconds back, and that is the result of him not really being able to keep up with the overtakes that Tom Rabo was making. And it took him a little bit longer to get ahead of some of the end drivers there. And I think Bolin now is trying to challenge back for that P2 that he just lost not too long ago. And we have a couple of different people in the chat here cheering on different drivers. We got people for Menno, we got people for Rabo. Menno still hasn't made a pit stop. He's on 16-lap old mediums. He's the only driver to not make a pit stop off of his medium tires. He's staying well in there. And Jesper's out, and I think we've had a crash. I'm going to ride on board with Betazai here, and that is a virtual safety car, and there is the carcass of the Ferrari of Jesper. Virtual safety car has been deployed. I didn't quite see what happened there, but it looked like there was contact with Falk and Jesper. Or Jesper might have just lost it. And Menno is using this safety car to make a pit stop. This is actually really, really awesome for Menno, who stayed out the latest out of everybody. And he is going to get behind Kryptonite, but crucially, he's in 8th position now. So this pit stop strategy has worked out perfectly for Menno. It's exactly what he needed, a safety car. And Menno up in the 8th position. So a nice VSC. And Menno has put himself up the positions in this race, staying out that long. Of course, that's the hope. You have a safety car and you can make up some nice positions. This is quite a long virtual safety car, and it has finally ended. And Joey RC got a nice getaway there, and he's caught up a couple tenths of a second, but here comes Bolin now. He's going to look on the inside as he got quite close to the back of him, but no cigar on that particular lap. As we're getting towards the final 10 laps of this Grand Prix, and things are starting to settle down now. Some gaps are starting to form, but Bolin and Joey are still very much in the hunt of each other. Devin is now right back up in there too. He's finally caught up within a second, as Bolin just hasn't been able to make the pass on Joey yet. Riding on board with the Haas driver. Joey RC does have a penalty. We'll see how many of penalties he does have. It is only 3 seconds, so anything can happen within the next 10 laps. As we are on our final 10 laps of the Grand Prix. The Haas of Bolin falling behind Joey. Looking for a pass, and now Legend's out. And the Legend's had an accident. Or has he pitted? No, he's pitted. Okay, so Legend also retires in the pit lane. A lot of retirements here in this race. A lot of drivers just saying, I'm kind of done with this one. And he has decided to retire in the pit lane. So we have 5 drivers out of this Grand Prix already. And here comes Bolin, though. He's quite close to the back of Joey. And Joey's, I don't think he's going to have a lot to defend with here. He's going to move to the inside. He's going to have the inside line. Joey RC still has the lead in second ahead of Bolin. But Bolin has the outside line now. Nice little squeeze move from Joey. Barely any room for Bolin to make a pass. And Bolin stays behind for the moment. Looks on the outside. Will now cut to the inside. Now he might have a chance, but Joey just cuts him off there. But I believe the second place spot for Joey is slowly coming out of his grasp as Bolin is right up on the back of him. And he might even be able to make it on this next DRS straight here. We're on the start-finish line here. Joey is going to have to defend in the turn 1. Where's he going to go? He's going to have to defend the outside lane. And Bolin on the inside, and surely now he might make the pass. Joey's going to try to keep it within there, but he just can't quite do it. And Joey has lost that second position spot, but now he'll have the possibility to make a counterattack here as they come towards the end DRS straight in Sector 2. As long as he can keep up with him, but he's having struggles doing that as the dirty air really starting to affect him. Joey does have 1 lap older tires than Bolin, and I guess it's showing because now it's 0.7 of a second already. And now Devin might be making a pass on Joey for third position in this race. Joey does have DRS, but so does Devin. Devin's getting quite close, but he's not using his overtake. So at the moment, I believe he's just going to be staying behind. But at the moment, with all this battling going on, Bolin is 2.3 seconds back from Tom Bravo, and Tom Bravo has been crisp and clean. No penalties in this race. 9 laps remaining in this Grand Prix, and we should see all the medium tire runners go towards the end of the race with that one-stop strategy. Of course, these medium tire runners are going to have some problems only because we have drivers like Menno who are on new soft tires. And Menno could move up a couple of positions in this race, to be fair. If some other drivers pick up some penalties there in the top 6, we could very much see Menno in a very nice position here. That VSC really helped him out. And he is the best of the rest now out of the medium tire runners. Betazai sitting there in 13th. A very loathsome race at the moment, but anything can happen, and I think he knows that. I think he knows he can score some points if a few other drivers have some accidents. So he is staying right within this race. He is on some very old hard tires, though, and he is going to have to make another pit stop, in my opinion, before this race ends. So we'll have to see how long those tires can last, but I don't think they'll last too much longer. But here comes Devin now, and surely now Joey might have to battle here for this position. He's using some overtake because Devin knows it's time to make the pass, and he's going to move to the inside. But Bolin now is defending on the inside is Joey. Joey tries to go for a move. Joey caught up very well on that last lap, and Joey almost made another pass for second position. So it's not so much a battle for the lead anymore unless Tom Bravo picks up a couple of extra penalties here, but it is very much a battle for P2. Though right now it's Joey who I think is on a bit more of the receiving end of some overtake punishment than the other drivers. Thank you, DNF Black. I appreciate the support. Thank you for coming into the live stream. Glad you're enjoying it. We're on lap 22 of 28, though, of the United States Grand Prix. Watching live coverage of the Formula 3 World Championship in the PlayStation divisions. We're here at the Circuit of the Americas in round number 13. And we're riding on board right now with Joey RC. Devin is right behind him, though, with 0.3 of a second back. And he is looking to make an overtake and get himself up in the third position. Devin is without penalties, so he would make up the position already. In fact, he might make up another position if anybody else picks up any more penalties. We bring up the details in terms of penalties here. It's 3 seconds both for Bolin and Joey, with 3 seconds back for Isaac Kush. Using up more overtake, Joey is trying to defend, and he doesn't have to defend too much because Devin is just not catching up close enough for an overtake, not quite getting in that tenths of a second window. But meanwhile, Menno has made it past Dutch Missile, and that is the first pass we're seeing so far, as Kryptonite also makes it past Dutch Missile. Dutch Missile, pretty poor DRS sector for him. He's lost a couple of positions. He's about to lose another position now. Dutch Missile is just falling down the order. Those medium tires are starting to really reach the end of their lifespan. And hold on, boys. Very much hold on. We may have a fight on our hands here. These soft tire runners are blistering in this race. And there's only a couple of drivers left without penalties. Isaac Kush has one. The only drivers in the top 10, Devin and Tom Rabo, are the only drivers without penalties in this one. If Menno can catch up some time, this could get very, very interesting in this race. He's 1.4 seconds back from Isaac Kush, who is 8.7 seconds back from the rest of the pack. But he is catching up very, very quickly. Menno in a very nice position in this race to pick up some really nice positions. Maybe even make it into the top 4. Might get into the top 3 too. We'll have to wait and see. There are penalties to be had here, but it's whether or not the other drivers can pick up more penalties. Menno does have penalty plates of his own. Devin going for it again, but he just has almost no DRS to play with. Sorry, ERS to play with. It's at about 3% there, coming towards the end of the DRS straight, and Devin's chances of attacking for third position keep dwindling by the lap. He's just not able to get the ERS battery back up into acceptable levels. And I think he might have to just not use overtake on the start-finish line and just try to save up as much as possible. But he's using a little bit out of the exits, and that's not going to save you up enough for the big overtaking zone, which is that DRS straight. And now he's trying to drop back a little bit, about 0.6 of a second, in fact, as Joey is catching up on Bolin again. So now Joey is looking to make a pass on Bolin again and get himself back up in the second position. He's in that fight now for second. The lead of the race is pretty much a done deal, unless, of course, Tom Rabo picks up a penalty. It is only 3.1 seconds. It's very possible that Bolin could get within that time window. And we have another retirement here, and that is Bedazai, and he's had an accident, and that's a full safety car. Full safety car deployed, and that is big scenes here in this race. That's going to bunch up the pack. And if your driver's like Menno, this is perfect. Fastest tire of the rest, right within the midst of it in the pack. Menno is very much in a nice position, and I have been given a invite. I hope that doesn't show up on stream, but people just have no calm. But this is big. Menno has a really nice position here to possibly make up. This is the driver I'm looking at right now. So safety car has been deployed, and Tom Rabo has the lead. Bolin in second, Joey in third, Devin in fourth, but the driver I'm watching is Menno. He's on some fresh soft tires, and while he is going to be probably on 7 or 8 lap old soft tires before the end of it, he is under safety car, so those tires are not going to wear out as quickly as they normally would. This is a big fight we're about to have on our hands here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very excited to commentate it for you. And into the pits is Tom Rabo, Bolin, and Joey RC. Late pit stops here under safety car. Very interesting. Are they going to come out, though, where they were supposed to be? I don't think they are. Menno is going to be up in third position after the safety car. No. Yep, third position for Menno. Tom Rabo in second. And those that I think is a mistake. This is very late in this race. I am not sure why they've made pit stops. It's only going to make the safety car last longer. Devin is in second position, Tom Bravo in third, Menno up the third position. Best of the rest from the medium tire runners. This is crazy stuff here at the end. I am very shocked that they made their pit stops. This is very late into the race. They're only going to have, at best, 3 laps to go. This feels like a thrown away possible win. More, you know, this is just as crazy as the last United States Grand Prix I commentated for in F4. A really late puncture from a McLaren. Devin is in the lead of this race now. And I have to say, I am very, very surprised. I don't think it's going to be that bad for Devin. Tom Bravo and Devin, they're both without penalties, so they're going to probably stay where they are. But Tom Bravo did come out in second with those soft tires, so Tom Bravo is most likely going to win this race unless he picks up a penalty here. But I'm just a little surprised from the rest of the drivers. Given how many drivers have penalties in this race, I'm just a little shocked they decided to make their pit stops. And that's even saying if we were going to get the safety car was going to come in this lap, which is not. So we're going to only have 2 laps left of safety car. And that just feels a little odd. That was an odd strategy call, in my opinion. I'm not too sure why they all decided to make pit stops. But Devin has stayed out, and I think that was the right decision. That was a little bit too risky, in my opinion. And I don't think it's going to be paying off for them all that well. So we're on lap 26 of 27. This will probably be the final lap of safety car. We'll have 2 more laps of racing. Devin is in the lead with Tom Bravo in second. Menno is in third position with 7-lap-old soft tires, but they are going to be much newer than you would expect given we're under safety car. Tom Bravo is going to be the fastest man on track. He is on a very new set of soft tires, which he will be warming up on this final safety car lap. And the pack is going quite slow. We have a lot of time before we get to the last final 2 laps of this Grand Prix. Safety car is coming through the end of the sector, and the safety car very early called in this lap. So Devin will control the pack. 2 laps remaining at the end of lap 26. And it's going to be all out racing. Devin in the lead. Tom Bravo in second, both without penalties. Menno does have penalties, but is in third and is on a set of soft tires as well. And he has the newest set of soft tires out of the other medium tire runners. This is going to get very, very interesting under this restart. We're going to ride on board of Devin, who is very side by side of Tom Bravo. And this is getting dicey. Tom Bravo is antsy. And here we go, penultimate turn. Devin weaving and waving. Here we go. When's the restart going to happen? Devin's still not restarting. He gets back on the power, and here we go. Safety car restart is underway, and Devin did not get a great run coming out of the final turn, and here comes Tom Bravo. Menno is right there behind the back of him, and he does not make a pass, but he gets very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo, but the Alfa Romeo is closing in on Devin now, and he will surely be looking for an overtake towards the end of the DRS straight, but Menno is still sitting there in third position. Kryptonite there in fourth position, with Isu in fifth, and sixth for Joey RC. Bowen in seventh, he's at Cush, stays in eighth, and oh, we've had a spin, and it's Bowen who has had a spin at the end of this, and this has been a disastrous restart for him, and he's down all the way at the bottom of the track, and that was a disaster for the Haas driver who had been running so well in this race. But here comes Tom Bravo on Devin. He has the DRS, and Devin is going to try to defend. He moves to the outside lane. Sorry, no DRS, sorry. So it is pure overtaking, and here comes Tom Bravo on the outside, coming into the end of the DRS straight, and Devin has the lead coming into the inside. But here comes the outside for Tom Bravo, and now it's Devin who's closing him off, and this is getting very dicey between the two drivers. The inside line for Tom Bravo, who has the lead. Tom Bravo takes the lead at the end of the race. Devin in second position, and Meadow watching along in third, just not being quite able to keep it up. But Tom Bravo has taken the lead of this Grand Prix at the very end of the race. We have one more lap to go, but what a fantastic battle for the lead, and Tom Bravo has taken it. A fantastic overtake from Tom Bravo, and now Devin may start to drop back a little bit, but here comes Menno. At least an overtake on track, but Joey RC now has made the pass on Kryptonite just about, but Kryptonite still is the outside line. He might have the position. Oh, and a big contact of Joey RC moved over across on him, and he actually bumped the front of Joey RC. And I don't think he'll be appreciating that one too much, and we might have to see a steward's report there for that one. That was a little dirty from Kryptonite. You clearly saw a bit of contact between the two drivers. And now here comes Joey, though. Is he going to move to the inside? He's going to make a big dive on the inside and finally get past Kryptonite. And here he comes now on Menno. Oh, this is getting dicey here. Now Joey gives Kryptonite the little dash there as he says, nope, here you go. You can have that one. But now Kryptonite's going to move to the outside, I think. Is he going to make a big dive on the inside? He stays behind Joey for the moment, and I think that might be the last of what we see there. But that was getting very feisty between the two drivers, and we might have to look at that in the steward's office after the end of this race, because that was not the kind of driving you want to be seeing in this league. But Devin, meanwhile, in second position. Menno staying in third. If we look at the detail of the penalties, they're both right where they are. Oh, but it's 6 seconds. I think Kryptonite might be picking up the podium here. But here comes Tom Bravo around the final corner. He is going to win the United States Grand Prix. Devin in second, and it's Joey and Menno across the line who got it. It was Menno who got it across, but the podium is going to be Izu, who picks up third position, Aroka in fourth, and Kryptonite in the top 5. What an end to an amazing race in the Americas. And Izu has picked up the driver of the day, and you have to say you can't disagree with that one. Rabo's your winner, Devin in second, and Izu, a surprise podium there at the end with the penalties alike. That safety car was a blessing in disguise for some, but that 6 seconds that was picked up towards the end there from Menno and Joey, unfortunately that dropped them way down the order because of all of it. What a fantastic race. Your winner is Tom Bravo in first position. Devin finishes in second. Izu in third on the podium. Aroka in fourth with Kryptonite in fifth. Isaac Kush finishes in sixth with the Dutch Missile in seventh. Menno finishes in the top 10 in eighth position with Joey RC in ninth. Falk in 10th, 11th in a Blaze. Bowen in 12th, 13th for Betazai. Legend in 14th, 15th for Jesper. And the rest are just DNFs. I don't know why I'm counting these down. And that was it, ladies and gentlemen. That was your PSGL United States Grand Prix. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure to subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a live stream. We have races going on through all the week. You've been watching live coverage of the Formula 3 World Championship from the United States Grand Prix, round number 13 at the Circuit of the Americas. It is Tom Bravo, Devin, and Izu, your top 3 here in this race. Thank you so much, and have yourselves a wonderful night.